Hey guys, welcome to another episode. In this one, we've got a very special interview with Noah from I Got It Auction. He has helped head up the Detroit Pistons NFT project, and we're going to talk about how that came about and how it's going to coexist with NBA Top Shot NFTs as well. Some really interesting stuff. Let's get straight into it. All right, here we go. Noah from I Got It. How are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well. I appreciate you having me on. I've watched the show a couple times, so it's fun to actually be on it.
I appreciate it. So for those that don't know, explain what I Got It Auction is.
So I Got It is an auction technology that we have developed, and our goal is to work with the best organizations in sports. So what we do is we partner with pro sports teams to put our auction software onto their mobile apps. And what we do through those auctions is auction off game used jerseys, helmets, shoes, cleats, anything, you name it, as well as autographs. And then obviously in a post-COVID world, we auction off experiences such as VIP tickets, golf tournaments with Hall of Famers, kind of cool things like that. And one of our new kind of avenues is transforming from the physical memorabilia space into the digital collectible space, as you've seen with our activation with the Detroit Pistons NFT collection. But I'm a big memorabilia fan, and I've been collecting ever since I was really little. So it's fun to be able to take all this useless knowledge I have of the sporting world dating back years, and use it into something for work.
So you're obviously a basketball fan. I mean, you said offline you're a jersey guy. Explain, like, because originally a while back you sent me a video and you had this really cool technology for scanning physical things to then turn them into digital things. Can you explain sort of like maybe some of that a little bit?
Yeah, so what we have is this 360 technology that basically takes like an item. For instance, you saw it with the Detroit Pistons championship rings. Basically what it does is it takes that, put it on a pedestal, spins it in the 360 version, gets 360 individual pictures, and turns that into a digital rendering. So you saw that obviously with our, version 1.0 of our NFT offering with the Pistons. But as we progress into our 2.0, 3.0, you'll be able to see what that kind of technology can do as it pertains to creating an NFT. We've already kind of used that technology on some of our physical memorabilia. So if you go on our website or any of our team partners apps, you'll be able to see like a 360 jersey, like a Tyreek Hill Super Bowl jersey, or kind of a Giannis game use NBA Finals jersey. Get the 360 rendering, and from like a memorabilia perspective and a collector perspective, it's really cool because then you can see these like little details, whether it's like a scuff here or it's a grass stain or just like any little details. It's really cool to see.
The details on like the championship rings, like you said, were insane. So like I've had a fair bit of 3D modeling experience.
Really?
And it's so hard to get that detail and get the maps and the textures and get it looking right. But starting from that scan and getting it, that mold straight away is such a cool technology. And then to converge that with NFTs is double cool again. So what's your role with I Got It?
So I am the head of community activations. So that not only pertains to obviously kind of managing the Discord on the Detroit Pistons NFT launch, but as well, once we kind of partner with the team, our goal is to be able to kind of dive into the community, whether it be the Saints, the Kansas City Chiefs, the Chargers, the Milwaukee Bucks, you name it. Basically get in there and just use my kind of understanding of social media and how kind of the memorabilia community develops and kind of communicates, to be able to go in there and share with that fan like what we're doing and how we can kind of expand and bring our offering to them to kind of improve the overall fan experience. Because at the end of the day, we don't really have any interest in marketing I Got It. Our goal is promoting the auctions on behalf of the team. And I mean, that's not to say that they don't do an incredible job of doing it, but what we've seen is that we've had a lot of success being able to build personal one-on-one connections with fan members and kind of teach them and provide them information on how they can, get, whether it's a game used jersey or even with the New Orleans Saints, we had wristbands available for like $25-$50. So it's all levels of it. And it's something we can be able to provide to fans of all kind of age groups. So my goal is to be able to go in there, inform and kind of grow the memorabilia community around our fan base.
Yeah, nice. So, leaning towards or leading up to the Detroit Pistons project, like Top Shot obviously broke ground with the NBA and NFTs. And did that sort of, do you think, specifically open the eyes to people like the Detroit Pistons? And then how did that project with them come about?
So obviously Top Shot was kind of like the first for I feel like a lot of people, especially within the
Yeah.
sports community, be like, because I remember I saw it in I think it was November, and I was like, okay, what am I looking at, right? And I think that's probably the same reaction for a lot of different people.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, an NFT. Now we're learning what an NFT is. How can we use an NFT? And it got to this point where a lot of these sports teams were like, okay, like to NBA Top Shot's doing this incredible thing. They've gotten all these new users, and there was like that one point in the beginning of the year where NBA Top Shot was like the biggest thing on the planet. I remember seeing on ESPN,
Yeah.
every article I would look up, like it was NBA Top Shot. And I think we were at this kind of juncture where people didn't really know how to use it. And I compare it to when the iPhone first came out, right? There was all there was the Bic lighter app and like the beer chugging app. And like, I mean,
Yeah.
right? Like, and they were like cool, but they didn't really use anything.
It
So
was only going to
it
take you
was,
so far.
yeah, exactly, right. And so it took until people could kind of realize how to actually use this, how to monetize it, how to turn into, the next big thing. And Top Shot did a really good job of kind of being able to turn it into that next kind of wave of technology. And a lot of teams were kind of trying to play catch up. And obviously, you
Yeah.
see teams like the Golden State Warriors. I mean, being where they're located, like they're always going to be on the forefront of innovation and kind of cool tech and things like that. So when they were kind of like the ones that came out with what they could by like the mandate of the NBA, a lot of teams were like, okay, we want to do it. We don't know how to do it. So
Yeah.
a big kind of angle with us with the Pistons was, not only can we help with the creative, which, our creative team did an excellent job putting together those banners, the tickets, and the rings and such, but as
Yeah, just
well,
to interrupt you for 1 second,
yeah,
you did the ones that you made are cool. Like I know a few others have done some. The Warriors, the Bulls, the Heat. These ones have an edge to them, like unlike the other ones.
I'm biased, but from a creative perspective, like just to see the detail that went into it, and like there's so many
Yeah,
different, like very small things you wouldn't even notice until you actually have that full NFT that
yeah,
really like tell the story of like what was going on, the identity of the team at that time, and things like that.
yeah. So you briefly mentioned the mandate from the NBA. So can you expand on that? So there's limitations to what the teams are allowed to do.
Yeah, so the NBA basically put out a memo basically saying, okay, what are the teams allowed to do as it pertains to NFTs? Because they wanted to have structure, they wanted to have unity. They didn't want, the Golden State Warriors going and doing something so crazy that no one else could wrap their head around or anything like that. But basically what they did was they put a cap on the amount of NFTs that are able to be minted in a year-long period. And that's obviously, we wish that we could be dropping Pistons NFTs every week, as well
Yeah,
for our other clients, but there's a limit on how many we can put out there. And as well, they put limitations on basically what you're allowed to put in the NFT. So I'm sure like you've seen that there's no, players or game used jerseys in the NFTs.
uh,
It's specifically banners, tickets, and rings. So that and that obviously there's only so much you can do with that. So that's why I really like I cannot only give enough credit to our creative team for being able to take that and putting our own spin on it. But I think it was put out as like this is the mandate for a year, and then we'll revisit moving forward. I really think the NBA has seen kind of what this can do as it pertains
yeah,
to the utility. I mean, like I think the Pistons project was probably one of the more innovative ones, if you will, as it pertains to, okay, if you get these, you get tickets for 5 seasons, you get the meet and greet, a lot of cool things that I think that, they were able to do those kind of at the forefront. And I mean, there's still, upwards of 20 teams left that haven't made them yet. So
yeah,
we're very curious to see kind of how the next steps go. And I think that'll be beneficial from like the NBA perspective as how we can use this technology to improve the game, improve the fan experience, and kind of how the teams and players and fans are all able to engage with each other. And I'll say this, like the NBA has always been very innovative in kind of their
Yeah.
approach to, whether the fashion or kind of anything else that they're doing, they're always kind of a step ahead. So
Yeah.
I'm sure that the next kind of phase of what they're allowing the teams to do will be something that's pretty good.
Yeah, I imagine, especially like I always say, Top Shot, 3 months feels like a year. That mandate probably feels like a 5 year long
Yeah.
mandate by the time it comes around and they can renew it, because so much has happened by the time that will be addressed again. But like,
Yeah.
how do you think about the coexistence of Top Shot NFTs and making their own NFTs?
So I feel like Top Shot is its highlights, and then obviously they start to showcase some utility with like the NBA, with the summer league. They had that in person kind of event, and then as well during the NBA finals, they sent winners to the actual finals. Which, by the way, that's so cool. I wish I got that.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're more on a league perspective. And I know Dapper, that's something that's a driving force for them, is they want to partner with the whole shebang.
Yeah.
As it pertains to the teams, I really feel like the teams are focused on individualism, and they don't want something that everyone else has. And I know that was the case with the Pistons. Like, okay, the Warriors did this, the Celtics did this, but we want to do something different. How can we do something different? What we're doing going to be different? And that was, the case with building a Discord community at like specifically for the NFTs, and kind of just things like that and the utility that was offered. So I think from Dapper's perspective of they want to go for the league, and as you've seen with the obviously NBA Top Shot versus the teams kind of working on their own project and kind of focusing on it in-house.
Yeah, yeah. I think you've done a good job in building a community of what you'd expect from an NFT within the Detroit Pistons. But specifically, what was the goal from the Pistons side in deciding to create this project?
It was really just to usher in this new kind of era of Detroit Pistons basketball. Obviously, when we launched, this was before Cade Cunningham, this was before Luke Garza, Isaiah
Yeah,
Livers, and it was okay. That it had been kind of a rough patch for the team, just with the whole Blake Griffin thing. Something's not working out, right? And we're being able to kind of use this technology and use this. Okay, we're getting into this NFT space to kind of, like I said, put the Detroit Pistons into this new kind of what's next for the organization and how we're moving forward in kind of this new way. So I know that it just kind of worked out perfectly. And we were in conversations with them before they got the number one pick even. And I remember that first phone call the next day, everyone was just like, let's go. Like it was so much fun. And then we'd be in meetings and I'd get like like an ESPN alert saying, oh, the Pistons have decided that they're going to draft Cade Cunningham. And meanwhile, like, I'm on the call with the Pistons. So as a sports fan, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. But it was cool. I mean, like, just to be able to have kind of just things align, right? It almost felt like fate that they got the number one pick. It ends up being Cade
yeah,
Cunningham,
yeah,
who's
yeah.
the absolute man, and then they're ushering in the NFTs.
Yeah, man, and they got a young team, and also like based on you talked about like utility and Top Shot and stuff. Like, there's nothing stopping the teams from adding utility to their own gear as well. I mean, you've got Isaiah Stewart in your Discord with Ask Me Anythings and various other things. So, what does the future look like for the Pistons and then other teams, do you think?
So with the Pistons, I mean, there's so many like really cool things that we're working on. It's just taking a little bit of time because obviously the draft is going on, summer league, and there's a lot of positive buzz in Detroit right now. So it's just taking a little bit of time. And like I keep
Nice.
telling people in our Discord community, like I'm chomping at the bit, like trying to not share with what like kind of what we have planned. I unfortunately have to wait, or else I don't think my bosses would be too happy. But there's some really cool things. And then from I Got It's perspective, this was what we call our NFT offering 1.0. Within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be launching our NFT 2.0, which is going to be kind of taking this digital museum approach to the NFTs and kind of
Yeah, nice.
telling the story of sport. That's probably as much as I can get into it, but it'll be some cool things. And then within the next month, probably around 4 to 5 weeks, we're going to be launching our 3.0, which I truly think is going to be, going back to our earlier point of like a technology that can really transform and innovate. And that I think that's going to be something that really is a cool project that sports fans from all over are really going to enjoy.
Yeah, cool. That's an interesting thing, like especially the world the way it is. I remember traveling to sports stadiums in England, for example, and like you'd go through the museum and you'd look at all the trophies and the history and the shoes that they wore and stuff like that. And with you guys with the ability to scan stuff, I mean, I can only imagine what 2.0 and 3.0 are going to look like in whatever timeframes they are. So yeah, I mean, that's a really exciting sort of prospect. So is there anything that I haven't asked you that I probably should have around Detroit and I Got It?
Huh. Will put me on the spot. The one thing is that we've been a large focus on is like we're not only like why are the Detroit Pistons doing it, but why are we doing it?
Yeah.
And it's really just dives down to the fact that we're all of us at I Got It are diehard sports fans. So our goal is to not only kind of take this memorabilia kind of offering that we have, and between you and me, and I guess everyone who's watching, the memorabilia community is a little outdated, if you will. It's people kind of stuck in their ways and how things go, and we want to be able to help kind of bring change. And just similar to as the Detroit Pistons are ushering this new era, we want to kind of bring in this new era of the way fans are able to kind of enjoy and engage in the memorabilia community. And as someone who is living in a tiny apartment, I can't have, a game used helmet and all these jerseys and cleats and
Yeah.
stuff that's taken up all my space. How can we take this and kind of transform it into this virtual space that it seems like this world is heading, especially kind of post COVID, and as well kind of bring the memorabilia collection space into kind of this younger demographic of fans that are able to now engage in it and are now knowledgeable about it just because Top Shot kind of opened the door to this whole NFT collecting space. Now we
Mm.
can have younger people who might not be the ones that are spending $2,000 on a game used jersey, but they can find a $200 collectible of their favorite player from their favorite moment and kind of enjoy the collecting aspect of it, if you will. Similar to someone who would probably have more income or at an older stage, if you know what I mean.
Well, it's early doors though, but if you listen to people like Gary Vee talk about NFTs, like your crypto wallet can literally be as important as your shoes that you are wearing down the street
Yeah.
in terms of how it projects your personality and what you like and what you show to the public, essentially. So, and you mentioned living in a small apartment. I mean, I'm recording from the den or the garage, whatever you want to call it. Like, we only have what we have. And when there's other utilities or third party things like to display our NFTs as well. So the evolution of all of this is almost untapped in a way.
Yeah. And I would actually be very curious of your perspective. Like, I'm of this belief that like our world is transforming from where people are focused on their outward appearance or their physical appearance or what they have in the physical world versus now there are people who are prioritizing kind of their presence and their collection and obviously their wallets and NFTs in this virtual space. So I'm kind of curious
Yeah.
your thoughts on that.
I think that'll evolve. Like it's I guess we've both kind of alluded to it. And in terms of even what people like Gary Vee will say, it'll evolve into like, do I really want that in my crypto wallet or Top Shot collection or NFT collection? Like, there would be people that don't like the Detroit Pistons and people that love them. And same with every single NBA team out there. Like, do I want that NFT? But there will be a lot of people that really want that Detroit Pistons 2004 championship banner because that meant so much to them in their life. Or it was the last one from my team. So yeah, I think it will. All roads are sort of leading that way, aren't they? Like that's just sort of what's going to happen. And I always remember, and Gary Vee posts these posts all the time. I hate to keep bringing him up, but like,
No.
in the 90s, people said the internet was the fad. You know, there was a time where radio was pooed on because, you know, newspaper was the thing at the time. So it's just like these things are just happening over and over again. And, you know, we haven't seen Disney dip into NFTs yet, or Marvel so much. So there's just so much to come around to open people's eyes to bring them in on whatever they're interested in.
Yeah, and it's to that point. It's like on the memorabilia side, there's the connection you have with the player, a moment, or even like a team for some perspective. Like as you mentioned, like 2004, like that was when I first like kind of started to watch basketball. And like I'm not going to sit here and say I was a Detroit Pistons like diehard fan or watch every second, but as like a young sports fan, like that's when I remember kind of what was going on. So even the 2004 had like a little bit of a connection for me. But I can only imagine as someone who, you know, might not have been around for the 1989, 1990 championships, got to
Mm.
enjoy and experience that 2004 championship. I mean, beating the Lakers, like that was wild.
It was crazy at the time. It was like they did
Yeah,
what to the Lakers, who
there's
were
like, yeah, it could be.
they were meant to. It was meant to be the other steamroll, the other way around. The steamroll.
Yeah, as well. That was the year they had Gary Payton, Shaq, Kobe,
Karl
Karl
Malone.
Malone.
And
Like,
Karl Malone, I didn't know this until recently. He was the MVP in '99 as well.
oh
So
wow,
only a few years later, he's in LA. You know, older. You know, had a long career, but he's in LA with Shaq and Kobe. And you think, obviously, they had their own soap opera, but I mean,
yeah,
it's still Shaq and it's still Kobe, who both went on to win
yeah,
multiple championships. And it's just like they did what to them, and that
yeah.
started to really show that. Hang on, the team matters and chemistry matters.
Oh, definitely. And then to kind of to that point, like there's always like that little thing that'll kind of connect you with something. And you
Yeah.
mentioned it with Disney. Like, I mean, I can think about all like the Toy Story, like things like if they came out with like a Buzz Lightyear NFT, like I would be the first one in line, I guarantee it. And it's
Now we're talking. Yeah, yeah,
and it's kind of just like, okay, how can we take this technology and put it into things that really strike a chord with people, right? It's
yeah.
whether, and then, you know, I can tell you like if they ever came out with a Captain America NFT, my dad would be all over it. So you know, we'll see kind of how these obviously the bigger organizations, but like people start to use it in order to really connect with their fan base. Cause I think that's kind of the biggest thing we've seen from Top Shot is it's a means and a tool to connect with the players and the fans that you enjoy,
Yeah.
or that you follow. So I think I didn't even get started thinking about the Disney thing until you mentioned it. Wow.
Oh, Disney's a deep rabbit hole, isn't it? It's like you got all the
Yeah.
Pixar stuff. And I love, as I mentioned 3D. I've always loved 3D movies and been impressed with the the technology behind it. And so I've always been a Pixar guy. And there's a Kung Fu Panda up there somewhere. Yeah, if you get me involved in that, I mean, it's like books. Like it's very hard to get people to read books or like Shakespeare in school because
Yeah.
who wants to read that? But then all of a sudden you give them a book on something they're actually interested in. That's when I think it will turn for some people and they'll dip their toes in, then they'll learn some more, and then they'll learn some more again. And then suddenly they're involved in the community. Something like that, I think, is more
Yeah.
the funnel for people at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. And like I think that's something that worked for Top Shot is that there are so
Mm,
many basketball fans out there. There's so many people who collect sports cards. Like it was just kind of like the easy
yeah,
kind of transition where it's less about the NFT, if you will. It's like about the sport and the
yeah.
player and the highlight that's going on. I think that was something that was able for people to communicate. And like you say it, like we could probably sit here and talk Pixar movies all day until we're blue in the face, right?
Let's do
And
it.
so it's something like that that kind of builds the community and that gives people like a driving force behind.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Um, I think we've covered everything we needed to cover with the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, you got some really cool stuff coming up by the sounds of it that you couldn't obviously give away the farm yet. But if we wanted to know, if the viewers wanted to know more about I Got It or the Pistons NFTs and the project coming up, what's the best place for them to go to?
Pistons NFTs, come check out the Discord community that we have. We have it in our link tree on I Got It. As it pertains to I Got It, follow us on social. We're going to be posting. I promise you, the second we're allowed to say what we our things, I will make sure it gets up there. And we're going to be launching the I Got It Discord soon, as it in conjunction with a couple of other projects we have working on.
Oh,
So
nice.
I guess we'll just have to come on here and share the word again once we get those things launched.
Hey, do it again. It sounds like we can waste a lot of time talking all kinds of smack inside and outside basketball. All
Sounds
right, Noah.
good.
Thanks heaps for coming on and opening our eyes into some of that stuff and what NBA teams are thought of thinking about. And I'll see you hopefully very soon.
Appreciate you having me on, and I'll see you again soon.
Thanks, mate. That's it, guys. Thanks for joining me. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and what you learnt today. If you got any value, please consider giving it a like and or subscribing to this channel. It really helps me out. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day. See ya.